Back to go another YouTube video. It's your boy Uriah G. Today we're gonna react to 10 best WWE matches of 2003. Let's get right into the video.
As the final embers of the Attitude Era slowly began to burn out, WWE entered a new era in 2003, one that saw plenty of changes. Both Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock began to wind down their full-time careers, Triple H cemented himself as the new top heel with his reign of terror, and some fella called Goldberg made his debut. What could possibly go wrong? With all these events and a bunch of other craziness behind the scenes, it's easy to forget that the on-screen product offered up plenty of wrestling matches too, including
Wrestling was going on this year, when that year I was born.
these ones. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 best WWE matches of 2003. Join us. Number 10, Hulk Hogan vs. Mr. McMahon at WrestleMania 19. Honestly, who watching WWE in the mid-80s would have thought that Thunderlips and that dorky announcer would have a compelling match 2 decades or so later? Nobody, that's who, because to think that would have been mental. Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon had begun feuding over who had been responsible for WrestleMania and thus WWE's runaway success during the so-called Golden Era. To settle the score, the two middle-aged fellas would battle in a street fight at Mania 19, and bloody hell, just bloody hell. Both men were busted open by vicious chair shots to the head. Spanish commentator Hugo Savinovich also took one, poor bloke, which was then followed up by a ladder-assisted leg drop through the announce table by a 58-year-old Vince. There was also the small case of Roddy Piper returning to WWE for the first time in 7 years to blow.
I think I should check this match out. I don't even think I've sat down and watched this match.
Asked Hogan with a lead pipe, just in case this match wasn't mental enough, before Hogan fired up and slayed the genetic jackhammer to win the day. I just love it when the lesser of two evils prevails. Number 9, Triple H vs. Shawn Michaels on Raw. After his return to the ring the previous year, Shawn Michaels made it his mission to wreck the life of former best friend Triple H. To be fair, the guy did try and kill him by shoving his head through a car window, so I think that's valid.
This is the heel turn thing when you said you already know. Not you already know. I'm over here thinking about New Age Outlaws. It was literally the D-Generation X. He was saying their thing, right? And then Shawn Michaels turned around and Triple H turned him over and he gave him a pedigree. I think that's how it happened. And then it led to their rivalry. They had a 2-headed stage falls match. They had another match and somewhere else, I believe.
The two crossed paths a number of times in 2003, but their only singles match all year was the main event of the final Raw in the calendar. It was for the game's World Heavyweight Championship, but the shared history between these two icons elevated it so much more than just a TV title match. Momentum swung back and forth as these ex-DX members fought valiantly to maintain control. Trips had help from Ric Flair on the outside, which led to some great interactions between Nate and HBK, and the action in the ring was of the very high standard you would expect from two tenured vets who knew each other so well. Michaels thought he had won the belt after pinning the champ.
Yeah, they definitely do know each other really well. They know how to put on really good classic matches against each other. You know, at pay-per-views, different stipulation matches, they just know how to work well together in the ring, especially as a team, 1v1.
Following a sweet chin music, but a closer look revealed that his shoulders had been down too. A disappointing ending for sure, but this was essentially a pay-per-view main event on free TV, so we really can't complain too much. Number 8, Brock Lesnar vs. Kurt Angle vs. Big Show at Vengeance. As you're about to find out, 2003 was the year of Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle. The two amateur standouts put on a series of classics against each other, but on the Vengeance pay-per-view, they had a little bit of help. Actually, on second thought, there was nothing little about it. The next big thing an Olympic hero were joined by the world's largest athletes, who you might think would have acted as a giant anchor dragging the other two down. Instead, the super athletes were able to work a brilliant match that made Show look like a monster. He handled the power spots, whilst Angle and Lesnar provided the actual wrestling. Things got pretty nasty at points, including a section where Angle and Lesnar took turns.
I mean, it sounds like a good match. I mean, all three wrestlers won world championships. I mean, they had good careers in a sense. triple threat matches are usually good. It depends on what wrestler is in the ring.
Earns whacking Show in the face with trash can lids, but the 7-footer got his revenge by hitting multiple double moves on his foes. Spot of the match has to go to Lesnar hitting a goddamn running powerbomb on Show, which honestly, I'm lost for words. That's insane. Angle left the ring as the winner and the new WWE champion, having pinned Brock to regain the gold and bring this human bullfight to a close. Number 7, The Rock vs. Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 19. In February of 2000,
Yeah, them two good matches most of the time, especially, that sell that Rock gives when, Stone Cold gives the stunner, so definitely a good rivalry. Just like, he brought up the Triple H and Shawn Michaels match, and then just how they put on good matches. They study each other in the ring.
2003, The Rock returned from Hollywood convinced that he was better than everybody else because he had played a CGI scorpion in a mummy movie. After a pay-per-view match against Hulk Hogan and a micro feud with the Hurricane, which was way better than it had any right to be, the Brahma Bull finally locked horns with his most famous foe, Stone Cold Steve Austin. There were many factors working against Rock Austin 3 at Mania 19. For example, Dwayne was now a part-timer, and as for Austin, he had spent the previous night in hospital, for crying out loud. Ultimately, though, none of that mattered. This was two of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time revisiting one of the greatest rivalries of all time, and that was more than enough. The match itself was relatively simple as they played their greatest hits and let their natural chemistry guide them before Rocky drilled Austin with a rock bottom to finally beat the Texas Rattlesnake at the biggest show of the year. Sometimes wrestling is about the right people in the right place at the right time, and this is the perfect example of that. Number 6, Kurt Angle vs. Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. For the second time in 2003, Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar competed at one of WWE's Big 4 pay-per-views for the
Another good rivalry, Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle. They had the Iron Man match. What was that on? I think an Iron Man match on SmackDown. Or was it an I Quit match? It was one of them.
WWE Championship. God, if you two like each other so much, why don't you just kiss? Oh, they did. Disregard. In the wake of losing the belt to Angle at Vengeance, Lesnar turned heel and formed a very strange partnership with Vince McMahon. What had started out as a friendly rivalry had devolved into a blood feud, and it showed at the biggest party of the summer. Lesnar and Angle were made for each other, and I don't just mean romantically. Both were simply just freaks of nature, excelling in pretty much every aspect of the wrestling game and able to work together with the greatest of ease. Like the aforementioned Triple H Shawn Michaels match, this fantastic clash was somewhat spoiled by a crummy ending. Vince got involved on Brock's behalf, smacking the champion with a steel chair, but Angle was still able to counter an F5 into an ankle lock and make the beast tap. It could have done with less McMahon, but this was still a blinder of a wrestling match. Number 5, Team Bischoff vs. Team Austin at Survivor Series. Eric Bischoff and Steve Austin had been peacefully
I think Eric Bischoff should come back, to WWE and just have a storyline again or something.
running Raw for most of 2003. Alright, that was a lie. They absolutely hated each other. To settle their differences once and for all, each GM assembled a team for a 5-on-5 elimination match at Survivor Series. If Austin's crew won, the ban on him beating up talent would be lifted, but if Bischoff's group was victorious, then Stone Cold would be sacked. Team Bischoff, that's Mark Henry, Scott Steiner, Christian, Chris Jericho, and Randy Orton, and Team Austin, that's Rob Van Dam, Booker T, Shawn Michaels, and the Dudley Boys, weaved an incredible yarn over the course of this long and well-plotted match. Austin looked to have the advantage, only for Bischoff's side to turn the tables, resulting in HBK fighting back from 3-1 down to create
I mean, it sounds like a little... I mean, they got some mid-card wrestlers, and then they got, like, some wrestlers that won the world title, and then, like, some that had a run, some that got pushed, some that, you know, fell off in a sense. But should I don't know. I think I can watch this match. I should. I mean, what was this, Survivor Series 03?
to final showdown with Orton. Unfortunately, Michaels was just too tired, and a Batista run-in allowed the Legend Killer to pin the showstopper. This crushing blow was the perfect finale to one of the greatest Survivor Series matches ever. Stone Cold might have been gone, but he went out in glorious fashion. Also, he came back like a month later, so... Number 4, Kurt Angle vs Chris Benoit at Royal Rumble. There were 2 World Championship matches at the 2003 Royal Rumble. One was Scott Steiner versus Triple H, which was so putrid that it's now classed as an environmental disaster. As for the other, that was a very different story. Chris Benoit had defeated The Big Show to earn a shot at Kurt Angle's WWE Championship. There was some nonsense about Stephanie McMahon and Paul Heyman using the wrestlers as proxy, but we don't need to go into that now, or ever. Instead, let's talk about what happened when 2 of the most talented in-ring performers of their generation went head-to-head on a big pay-per-view stage. These 2 already had a stellar rivalry back in 2001, but now they were 2 years wiser, and Angle, still young in his career lest we forget, had 2 more years of experience under his belt. The match itself revolved around the ankle lock versus the crippler crossface, as each competitor fought hard to apply their signature hold. After a very close contest, the champion was able to lock in his move and force the challenger to submit. Benoit actually received a standing ovation for his spirited performance, having earned every single second of applause. Number 3, Shawn Michaels vs Chris Jericho at WrestleMania.
I know this match, though. I've seen this one, Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho. I had it on this DVD. You know, pretty much they fought each other, and all I'm gonna say is Shawn Michaels won the match, and then Chris Jericho, I think he gave him a hug or something like that, and then turned heel or something. I think he was already a heel, but he did something heelish after that. He was celebrating with him, and then he kicked him in his area, and then he's they booed him. That's all I remember from that match. It was actually a really good match, though. This one I can definitely say was a good match.
WrestleMania 19. For the first time since he lost the world title to Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1998, Shawn Michaels returned to WrestleMania to take on, well, himself. You see, a large portion of why Chris Jericho wanted to fight HBK at Mania was because he had grown up idolizing him. Many people had even called Y2J the next Shawn Michaels, prompting him to prove that he was in fact the first Chris Jericho. From the moment these 2 first stared each other down, looking like a new metal version of that Spider-Man meme, fans knew that Michaels vs Jericho was going to be special. Here were 2 insanely talented individuals with very similar styles and a point to prove. Michaels, the veteran with his place in the pack at stake, Jericho, the hungry young lion looking to kick him out. Walls of Jericho's and sweet chin musics were flying all over the place, but it was a simple roll-up that provided the finish for this gripping back-and-forth human chess match and gave Michaels his first Mania win in 7 years. Ever the gracious loser,
7 years.
Jericho took his loss like a pro, hugging Michaels after the bell and sharing the spot. Oh wait, he's just punched.
See? I remember the ending, yep.
Him in the knackers, never mind. Number 2, Kurt Angle vs Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 19. On the same show that Kurt Angle put on a classic with Chris Benoit, little Brock Lesnar won his first Royal Rumble match, setting up a mouth-watering showdown on the grandest stage. On a card featuring Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H, and Hulk Hogan, Lesnar and Angle were chosen as the main event.
I could definitely say this was a good match, but I can't say them 2 against each other. They put on some matches, because like I said, they had the Iron Man. I think it was a I Quit or best out of 2 out of 3. It was some type of match stipulation on SmackDown that they had, and yeah.
Events, and WWE's faith in the pair was repaid 1,000 times over. In their first one-on-one meeting on pay-per-view, they tore the house down, rebuilt it, and then tore it down again. All the crazy athleticism and feats of strengths we've already discussed with these 2 was on full display for the first time ever, as the Mania crowd watched in awe of these 2 perfect specimens, one of whom was actually wrestling with a broken freaking neck. And then, it happened. Lesnar's attempt to win the match with a shooting star bar press went wrong in the worst possible way as he under-rotated and landed head first. This probably would have killed any other man, but the Grim Reaper took one look at Brock and went, "Nah, you're alright." He somehow got up, hit a groggy F5 and won the bout, providing a once-in-a-lifetime ending to a match that was already an all-timer. Number 1, Kurt Angle vs Brock Lesnar on SmackDown. In a year of fantastic pay-per-view matches, the greatest clash of 2003 took place on an episode of SmackDown. The September 18th, 2003 broadcast of The Blue Show was closed out by a WWE title match pitting defending champ Kurt Angle against his mortal enemy Brock Lesnar. But this was no ordinary match. It was a match sponsored by Marvel Comics. Oh, sorry, turns out that's not what Iron Man means. Easy mistake to make. For a full hour, Angle and Lesnar traded big moves, submissions, and pinfalls in their quest to show everyone
Yeah, I think this is the match that I was talking about. This is the Iron Man match.
who the true top dog was. Lesnar got himself DQ'd, but gained the advantage in doing so and scored 3 quick falls to take a commanding lead. Angle fought back, scoring 2 points in the final stretch and
This was also on the Brock Lesnar DVD that I had.
slapping on an ankle lock that threatened to take the match into extra time. Lesnar
Alright, that was 10 best WWE matches of 2003. Let's hear what he says.
dug deep though and held on, managing to withstand the pain long enough for the buzzer to sound and the match to end. The Beast had won 5 points to 4 in the best Iron Man match in WWE history.
He said best Iron Man match, and they need to bring back more Iron Man matches. Y'all think so? Because I don't think I've seen one in a long time. Alright, that was 10 best WWE matches of 2003. Subscribe, like, comment. Tell me what you guys want to see next in the comments down below. I got more videos coming. And yeah, Uriah out.